Hey everybody, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. What am I doing?
We have the pleasure of having the Bill Galloway with us today, who I have the privilege of working for, my broker. Yeah, he's going to sit in with us today and we're just going to talk real estate.
Yeah, and guess what though? We're all here together in the same room.
I know, the same screen. Here we go.
So I'm not in Florida anymore. I'm officially in New York.
She came up and surprised me last night. That was quite the surprise. I was yelling at her, telling her I needed a sister trip, and it was like all I had to do was snap my fingers, and she was here.
Well, this is a rose between two thorns, and
wait, that was backwards.
And
the thorn between two.
I was walking through the room, and next thing you know, I'm on a podcast, and here we are.
Yeah. So Bill was telling me about the real estate market here, and that it's pretty crazy still or slow.
Yeah, it's real active. It slowed a little bit because of the lack of inventory, but the inventory is picking up right now, and the multiple offers are starting to fly again, and we're just really getting hammered at this point with business, which is nice.
So what do you say to everybody who said that the market, both of you, told you that the market's going to slow down and the real estate market's going to crash? Has that happened yet?
No, but our area compared to yours, Don, is a little bit different. So our area has never really boomed like Florida does. So we've always been kind of flatline business until the last couple of years, where now we've increased in values around here.
Yeah.
So we still, if the rest of the country crashed, we still wouldn't feel it because we're just still so undervalued compared to the rest of the country. So it just continues on. We're a really good market to buy in and live in.
Are you guys seeing an influx of people moving here to this area?
Definitely. I am. Are you?
Yeah, believe it or not, after the hurricanes and everything that you have down there, you ship all your people up here to get out of there. So it's kind of a plus for us.
Yeah, that's true.
Lots of investors too. I have actually, it's weird. The last week and a half, I've had previous students that went to school here at SUNY Oswego that live downstate calling wanting to invest. Go like crazy. I mean, and back to the whole multiple offer thing. Yeah, we're seeing multiple offers, but I want to tell people that you still have to price your house right. People are making multiple offers on properties, but if you're overpricing your house on just right off the bat because you think it's a crazy market, it's sitting. If you're listening, again, we've talked about this before. If you're listening to your realtor and listing where it should be, I just listed a house last week, ended up with 5 offers and meeting them today, but it's flying.
Do you think that the reason why overpricing is not a good idea right now is because buyers are already stretched thin with the interest rates? They're kind of at their max anyway? Or do you think the buyers are just we're not going to overpay?
I think that the buyers are very educated and they're smart. They know what's going on. They can get the information. They can kind of see values. They're not going to get to the point where they're going to pay so much over where they're never going to get back out of that someday. So I think the interest rates, slowed some of the buyers a little bit, but I think more so the knowledge that, they're not going to just throw any price on their seller and the buyers are going to buy it. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. What we've seen in the past, though, it was crazy. Do you think we'll ever see that type of market again?
We need a lot more inventory everywhere in this country. So
that's true.
So if it doesn't, it's going to continue to be like this.
That's what I'm thinking. If houses there's more people, then the demand is so much stronger right now than supply. So until that is more of a balance, the market's going to stay crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to see that too in Florida. Your inventory's got to be.
Yeah. Our inventory, we have a lot of builders and developers happening now. There's D.R. Horton, there's Vieira Builders, there's our Pica area that's really getting developed. So we have a lot of buildings going up and people our competition right now for listings are literally pinned against new builds. So you can't price your house for more than what somebody can buy a new build is. We're seeing sellers say, well, I want to price my house for $500,000. We're like, no, that same house you can get now. You have to wait 12 months, but $450, so it's kind of driving those prices back down, which has been good. On top of that, with the interest rates, it hasn't been as crazy. But with that said, with prices said, it's so funny because Sarah took me on a final walkthrough yesterday, and they asked me like, hey, how much would this house be in Florida? And I was like, oh, easily 300,000. And how much did your clients pay?
They grabbed it for 103.
So prices here are amazing. Like I'm like, I want one of those, one of those, one of those, one of those.
Beautiful river view. They got that for a steal for sure.
The view is amazing.
Very nice.
Amazing.
You know, they talk about all the time, New York State, the taxes here. Taxes are higher here, but you know, it equals out because our values are lower, so you're not paying as much for a home, and you're getting 3 times the home that you would get somewhere else.
Right.
You know, so it all equals out.
So taxes are a little bit worse, but what about insurance here?
Insurance is nothing like Florida. It's a lot better.
It's a lot better. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's where we're really struggling. Yeah. Like we see people are like, their main concern is the insurance because it just keeps going up.
Huge problem.
Do you have to? Does everybody have to purchase flood insurance there?
So there's a rumor that they're going to implement that slowly in the next 2 or 3 years, that everyone will be required to have flood insurance just to kind of offset the cost of the regular insurance. But unless you're in a flood zone right now, it's not required, or if it's required by your lender, then you have to have it. So I currently don't have flood insurance, but I did just sell a house that was in a flood zone, and they're required to have flood insurance.
What about like hurricane, natural disaster insurance?
I think that's just the main insurance that we
you guys carry.
Yeah, that we carry.
So looking at both markets, the same thing. We have the same thing here. If you're in a flood zone, you're required to have flood insurance and that. So
do you guys have a lot of flood zone areas?
More so than you would think. They redid the flood zone maps, and there were stuff that weren't in flood zones that are now. So
which is weird. Changed. I sold one right in the middle of the city
that was in a flood zone,
and they had to get flood insurance. I'm like, where's the water?
I know. I would love to see how they come up with those maps, because it's like, the one house that I sold, it was in a flood zone, but everything else like next to it was not. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, how's that even happen?
But I just was in Mexico, New York, and they had I had a commercial building I was looking at, and I said, what happened to the side of your building? She said, it was from the flood we had last in the spring or in the fall. And it came through and it wiped out her whole parking lot and everything. So it does happen.
Did you say Mexico, New York?
Mexico, New York.
Is that really a place?
Yeah.
Oh,
there's a Rome, New York.
Yeah. A Rome, New York?
Yeah. What else is there? That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Sarah Hofer, New York, here.
Not
right
yet,
here.
But she's working on that. Right now.
She's working on that. There's going to be a street name with her on there.
Yeah.
People will be like, I know her.
If these two were ever together, they would probably have their own city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like spring here today. It is literally like going to be in the mid 50s. So it was like that yesterday too.
And she is wearing pretty much flip-flops. I was like, girl, you're insane.
So I was planning on going golfing today.
Yep.
But Dawn surprised me. So we're going to do
I almost got knocked out too with a surprise. I'll have to pin that. But she was terrified.
He's still going golfing.
Yeah, in February I'm going golfing. This is very rare.
Are they allowing carts out?
No.
Everyone's just walking?
No carts and walking, but it's very rare to see.
You literally have to walk the golf course?
Yeah, believe it or not, I can. I know you can see me hobbling around here and stuff, but I can make it.
Actually, it's very therapeutic. You should try one of these.
Listen, if it's anything like Disney, everybody has their own little golf cart.
So last time we go to Universal Studios, Dawn obviously grew up in Florida or lives in Florida. We put literally, I think we walked like 17 miles total throughout like Universal.
Yep.
Dawn was a little bit angry at the end of the night. She's like, I am never doing this with you guys again. She goes, next time you jerks want to come to Florida, do not make me do any of the freaking parks.
No, well, I guess
And it was her daughter who made us walk an extra mile and a half at the end of the night. We're exiting and she goes, but I wanted to do this.
What was it?
Men in Black.
Yeah, Men in Black.
Way on the other side of the park, and everyone's like, I'm not going. My feet are fried. I'm not going. And here I am, like the best aunt ever. I'm like, let's go.
There's nothing like the amount of walking you do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's so funny because when we first moved to Florida, we got a Disney season pass and we loved it. We went like twice a week. We just went. And now I'm just so like theme parked out. Yeah, because we did Disney pass. We did a SeaWorld pass. We've done a Universal pass.
I want to do, next time I go, I want to do Discovery Cove. I really enjoyed it. If you guys haven't done Discovery Cove, like I haven't been in 20 years.
I have not done Discovery Cove, so maybe I should.
Yeah.
Is that at SeaWorld?
No, it's its
own little place.
Yeah. And when we bought tickets, I would have to look again, but when we bought our tickets, they only sold 150 tickets a day. So it was never overcrowded. And it was all inclusive. So you just walked in with the clothes on your back. They gave you like the sunscreen. It was all you could eat and drink all day. They had bars. They had whatever. All you can eat and drink all day.
Never heard of it.
And then they put you in, you have to wear
Discovery Cove.
You have to wear a wetsuit and use the sunscreen that they give you because it's animal safe, and you can swim with like saltwater fish. You can swim with freshwater fish. You have to pay extra to swim with dolphins, but you can do a deep sea walk where they put this helmet that's so cool. It's open on the bottom. They put this helmet on you, and you're literally 60 feet underwater and walk. It's pretty cool. So, and you can spend the whole day there. Then they have like a lazy river that you can float around with kids, sandy beach. It's really neat.
That is awesome.
And then when we bought our ticket, they also included a 2-day pass to Busch Gardens.
Oh,
so it was so worth it.
That is worth it.
So yeah, I definitely want to do that next time.
Yeah.
Right. I have a question for you. Now I've asked Sarah this question, so now it's your turn.
Okay.
Your turn.
Here we go.
What is the craziest thing that's ever happened to you as working in real estate? There's got to be one that sticks out.
I always think about the one where I was at a closing and we were upstairs in a bank at the lawyer's office, and the wife and husband were sitting there, and they needed a check. So the wife said, "I'll go down and I'll get the check, and I'll be back." So she went down, and it was like 45 minutes later, and he says, "I got to go find out where she is." And then the husband went downstairs and came back up and said, "She's gone, and they just told me she emptied our bank accounts and left." So there was no closing that day. She took his money and divorced him.
I wonder if she found something out from the time of the morning. Oh my, that is crazy.
You just had it planned. Like, I'll go get the check, and
absolutely, it was planned. Yeah, it was totally planned.
Oh my God, how did you react? Like, what did you do?
Just
was he frantic? Did you have to talk to him?
He was mad. He was ready to
rage, I'm sure.
Kill. I was like, we just sat there, me and the lawyer were like, okay, this one's off. Go list that back up.
That's so frustrating because, again, we don't get paid if it doesn't happen, right? So not only are you like, what the heck? And here we go.
I had another one where the buyer and seller were they closed, and then the boiler broke, and the buyer he was a tough guy, a little hot-headed, and he was talking to the seller at the gas pump a couple days later, and he's saying, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" And he says, "It's your problem now. Don't worry about it." So he knocked him out. And I'm like, okay, that's probably not in your best interest. And
oh my God.
So we've seen it all. You see it all in this business.
All right. As the broker, what is the worst thing one of your agents could have done? Like something that you're like, what the hell were you thinking?
Oh boy, where do I start? I could tell you something every single day that it's a full-time job.
Of course, my name is never brought up.
Sarah's a good agent, right? Yes. Sarah? Because they're learning, right? Some agents learn, and it all falls down on you, and you're responsible for everybody.
So let's talk about this. Every day is a learning experience, and every day with so many rules changing, fair housing, everything that goes on, it's you can't know everything. You want to, and you try to train everybody to do that, but it's easy to say one wrong thing or do one wrong thing. So we try to keep them out of trouble as much as possible.
That's your job.
Yeah, it is. But my phone rings morning, noon, and night, or I get a text saying, "I need your help." So. What is the worst thing? I can't even begin to tell you. They're all pretty bad.
Yeah, because it's a lot of legality stuff too. Probably like the bad ones are like, oh, you could be.
I mean, you've had to go to like some fair housing, right, or board things.
Yeah, I've gone through, but we've always, luckily, I think, because of our training, ethics, and everything, we've always not had a problem where we've always been on the right side of those issues, but. The problem is just like I said, the changes so often that you need to be prepared for it.
Yeah, and that's hard to keep up. Just me as a real estate agent, it's hard to keep up with the changes. I can't imagine the broker, you being responsible for all these people, and then having to implement, hey, this just changed yesterday. You all need to read this email I sent out, or come in for a training, or whatever it is, so that we're all on the same page, because
there's no doubt. I get, so we had an unrealistic client where they were trying to buy a house and they didn't get it for the price they wanted. And so they decided that me as the broker, I should pay the difference in what they didn't get it for. And when we didn't, they started writing on social media that we were wrong and everything. And why am I paying for you because you lowballed offer this? And so these are the things, then they look and just kind of try to blame everybody but themselves. And I don't know, you run into that kind of stuff, and you just don't want to get into a whole argument on social media, but it's frustrating sometimes watching that kind of stuff when you have nothing to do with what the real issue is.
Yeah, it's funny to see how many people love negativity on social media, and they jump right on and add their comments. Jump right on and add their comments. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Positive posts don't happen like that.
Right. It's the whole hiding behind the screen and being able to say what you want. But yeah, I mean, that does happen a lot. And how do you fight negativity on social media? Do you ever get any negative comments? Do you reply, or do you just ignore them?
I ignore them. If they're real bad, I'll hide them. I'll hide them in the posts. Yeah. You'll list a house or something, and you'll have somebody has an cranky neighbor that doesn't want the house to be sold, so they try to bash the house as much as possible on social media or in the comments. And it's like, if you don't want anybody living there, then buy it. It's like, it's for sale. You have the opportunity to purchase it too. So
and social media is so big. There's so many different social media accounts, and
it's just crazy.
It's huge. It's a huge thing. I don't know if you guys heard the law that they're trying to get passed, but anyone I think 16 or under, they're not going to allow, or they're fighting so that they can't have social media accounts.
How do you prevent that though?
Exactly.
Because really they put fake birth dates in there.
They'll never fly. But how do you? How about you in Florida? How do you your competition down there? How do you handle that with all of the other agents and stuff?
It's a tough market, and me and Sarah were talking about this last time, because over 60,000 agents have already left the industry. So what's left are the agents who work really hard.
60,000 in Florida alone?
Yeah, left the market. And so my competition is agents who are like you. They're hardcore, they work hard, they're educated, they keep up on the top of the market, so that they're calling the expireds, they're calling the for sale by owners, they're knocking at their doors. So on day one, so that is my competition right now.
So you got some tough comp.
It's a tough. So so my biggest thing is that right now I'm focusing on trying to build up social media, kind of let people know I'm out there. And also, I guess, sphere of influence is huge. And that seems to be really helpful, just kind of talking to my sphere of influence and trying to get more business that way.
Right. In all aspects of everything where your sphere is.
Yeah. And that's hard, because I am an extrovert, but I'm also an introvert. I love staying at home. I don't like going out all the time. So now I'm having to push myself out of my comfort zone and go out and meet new people.
Right.
I've owned in Florida before, and I know the market pretty well. I know a lot of brokers down there, and I know how hard it is. Everybody wants to live in Florida. Everybody's coming to Florida. Yeah. But everybody wants to be a realtor in Florida. So you have just multiple realtors which sell a house a year. And I think that's a problem in the market. When it gets tougher like this, it's probably a good thing to wash the not professional, real hardcore realtors out, get them out on the market and get the good ones taken over.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's more of a liability if you're only selling one house a year versus
because
really,
especially with we just talked about the laws changing all the time.
Yeah, you're not staying up. You're doing your continuing ed, but you're not.
Yeah, I think it's better to have somebody who just works real estate full time versus somebody who's a part-time real estate agent helping you, or it's your cousin or your brother's best friend who got recommended, and they've sold one house the entire year. I see a lot of that, and then people are like, why did I go with this person? This and this and this and this went wrong, and it ended up costing me.
Yeah, they just don't know how to get out of issues if they arise, or just the experience level, I guess, alone on that thing. So experience is huge when it comes to real estate.
Another nice thing for you is you deal with title companies, and we're totally dealing with attorneys. And, sometimes that's hard because of their personalities. They don't like each other, and then nothing gets done. They're just like, all right, what does that have to do with the deal or us?
Right, exactly. Why are we struggling?
You're constantly fighting through just to close a transaction in 60 days if you're lucky, where you can close them in 5 to 10. It's just amazing.
Yeah, we can close a lot quicker, but I think also with that said, I think the agents have to know a little bit more because I know you said your lawyers do some of the negotiation parts, right? Like
they want to do that.
They want to do
and they shouldn't do that.
Right. No, the attorneys will come in and, if they'll take care of like the encroachments and
and that kind
of title work and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Negotiations, like if a final walkthrough. So like on a final walkthrough, like last night, if things were gone and it's already in the attorney's hands, then the attorneys will be like, okay, well, they want this, this, and this, and this because, at closing, which is literally either now, like within an hour or whatever. So
we have to go through the title works paperwork to make sure everything's correct. Like, and I've had it a couple of times. This has happened to me twice where I'm going through, the title company sends me the paper, like who gets paid out, what's going where, all the breakdown and everything. And I go through it line by line. And there's 2 times where they screwed up.
Wow.
And it would have costed my client $50,000. So, I send it back and I'm like, don't sign it. Title company didn't get it right. So with lawyers, you guys don't have to worry about that.
Right. It kind of takes a little bit of pressure.
It's on them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it does go wrong, we get the blame anyways.
We get blamed regardless.
Have nothing to do with it, but
it's always the realtors to blame for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, that's what I was telling somebody else the other day. I'm like, being a realtor like makes you a little bit of everything: the solution, the problem, the therapist, punching bag, all the things. So
well, it's such a high stressful time in people's life because it's the most amount of money that they're ever going to.
It's a big deal.
So sometimes you are their outlet to whatever that might be, and so you got to be able to be professional enough to handle that and also not take it personal, which is sometimes hard because you want to take things personal. If you're working with somebody, you sometimes take it personal, but you just let it roll off the shoulder, and then the next day they're fine and they're like, oh, are we good? We're good.
We're good.
Yep.
Exactly.
So, that's awesome. All right. Any last words of advice before we go for anybody who's looking for that in a house in New York in 2024?
Get yourself a realtor. And
I have yourself.
Well, just real quick, because I know we got to go, but like I've worked with people before that I've shown them houses. They're like, well, we haven't really committed to a realtor yet, so we're just kind of like feeling it out. Commit to your realtor, because I'm telling you, and I tell my people that I'm showing, you need to commit if you want a realtor to fight for you in this market. It's crazy. If you're just going to bounce from realtor to realtor, I know I'm going to go to my loyal buyers before I help somebody that I don't even know if you're going to call me tomorrow for the next house. So get a realtor, stay loyal, and they'll take good care of you for sure.
All right. Any last words of advice for the New York market?
Well, along those lines, if you're these people that are doing for sale by owners, they're losing out. They're losing so much money. It's kind of scary. I've watched numerous deals, and I've watched people buy them and then flip them and take the equity that these people should have had.
Yeah.
And they're making the money. So having a realtor in place and creating that bidding war and everything else we do is really in your best interest. And the only other thing I would say is, I've been in this a long time, so like my agents, they come to me and they have a problem in a transaction, and sometimes it just takes like the broker to jump in and the agents get frustrated. But I've done it so long. I enjoy people. I've seen every problem you could probably have. I've just seen it all.
Yeah.
And so I can just stay calm when you're working in transactions and work through it. And there's you're there. Somebody wants to buy, somebody wants to sell. You're bringing them together for that transaction and we do everything we can to make that happen.
I love that. I'm going to go off of that too. I'll give some worded advice, but this one's going to be for real estate agents too, because I like what you said. Don't be afraid to ask your broker for help. Like I'm the type of person who's so independent. I'm like, no, I'm going to do it myself. But you know what? They can really make a big difference in closing a deal or even helping you get a deal. So if you feel like you need that extra support, reach out. If you have a great broker, reach out, which I have a great broker. I know you have a great broker right here. So reach out. He even helps me out. Sometimes I'll call him. I'll be like, hey, I know you're in New York, but
and my greatest asset is my agent. So it's the best thing I have.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Right.
We're
going to get a massage.
Yes, beautiful.